So, welcome, Chris, to this conversation about co-creating the third attractor.
Yeah, thanks so much. So very nice that you have having me.
Yes, it's funny. No, I have to tell everybody that is watching this that we were just talking in Swiss German because we know each other from Switzerland, and it's
Exactly. Yeah,
kind of funny to do this in English. But you are
we
located in California, and I am in India, so it's probably fitting.
I thought it makes complete sense. We met and you know each other from Switzerland, and now we have a California and India discussion.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's cool. So I always start with one question. Do you know or have heard of the term the third attractor? And if yes, or if you have looked into it in preparation of this call, how do you understand the third attractor right now
It's
in
actually
this moment?
It's actually interesting, and thanks for mentioning this because I did not know the term, to be honest. Until you reached out and
Yeah.
you mentioned it the first time, and then I looked into it, and I have to say, like, I really like the concept. And maybe if I summarize it correctly, let me know. But how I
Hmm.
understand it, like just in very simple words, I think it's like so the first attractor or the one scenario. So all in all, it's like there's three future scenarios that
Yeah.
are described with this concept. And the first one is like that we are heading into a chaotic collapse. So that actually it's going to be chaotic, and it will collapse. In all different kinds of ways that we don't even know what will happen. So that's the first one. Then the second one is like that very few powerful people or organizations or groups will be able to really take over, and that we end up in a very controlled dictatorship
Yeah.
of many sorts. So like very few will control like everything else. That's the second scenario. Both are not very pleasing, not very attractive to me. And the third one, that's really what then is kind of, in my view, a more decentralized, regionalized, very human oriented, and a very regenerative scenario, that we actually aim for. In what we do or what I do with my team, this is what we work on for 30 years now. It's always
Hmm.
been like this is kind of where we want to go. But I kind of like it, this kind of simplified version of like a very bad scenario, even worse scenario, because chaos usually creates innovation, but dictatorship usually is just bad for most of the people.
Yeah.
And the third one could really be something where people can actually grow and get something created that we probably had, in some times, but we lost in the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what in the last days I was thinking a lot about again the two first attractors, and also the fact that there is a part in all of us, I think, that actually are attracted by these attractors, not because they are objectively we see they are not attractive, but there is
Yeah.
a part in us that kind of likes a dictator to tell us what to do and to take over so that we
Yeah.
don't have the responsibility, no? And there is also the part that says, oh, I don't care anymore. It just, yeah, I
Yeah.
forget it. So it takes a lot to find that place in ourselves where we want to contribute to something better, no?
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned an interesting point because in some discussions I see that people or some people actually feel okay or even like happy in a
Yeah,
controlled environment because they say, it's too complex. Tell me what to do, you
yeah,
know, and I will hopefully I get some money from you, but you can tell me what I should do. So for me, this is the complete opposite of me. I'm a very freedom loving person. This
yeah,
may be our Swiss
exactly.
roots a little bit, but like really, for me, that in my life, this is the freedom and the adventure that I can have in my life,
Yeah,
and with my friends, with my wife, and like so. This is at the core my driver, freedom.
yeah.
But I realized that for some people, they actually are overwhelmed and they're actually more happy, or it seems they're more happy in an extremely controlled environment. For me personally, this is hard to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, for me too. And I was always impressed when I met you. Uh, you always had projects that had a long-term vision. That's very special in a way, because many people that do things, or startups, they have kind of a short-term view. But in you, it was always like a project that pointed to the future. Yeah. You
Oh,
probably
thank
can
you.
tell a
Yeah.
little bit what you are up to now, or what is still ongoing of these projects, and where your heart is most nowadays.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning this, because I think it really describes me quite well. And at the core, it's like I'm an economist, I'm an entrepreneur. So I really like when the numbers are correct. I have a controlling part in me that I like when things very precise, and then I also at the same time, I feel very comfortable or even look for situations that are extremely unstructured, where
Yeah.
sometimes I don't even really fully understand the problem yet, but I see there should be something, and we should do that. Let's try. I have gut feelings that I trust a lot.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of my inner dilemma. So I have this controlling side that wants to have facts and numbers, and it has to be very precise. And I feel very comfortable at the same time of like having like complete no control, like really
Yeah.
having okay, we need to kind of feel what could come. And maybe very briefly, my very first big project was the Flyer electric bike in Switzerland. That was in 1993. I was 25 years old. And as a student, at the University of Bern, in my marketing, for the marketing exam, I thought, the final exam, I thought I could think of how to make a new mobility work. At the time, the electric cars, that was more than 30 years ago, in my view, they were always a car minus. They were prototypes, they were expensive, you couldn't really charge. So compared to the standard cars, it was always something missing.
Hmm.
So it wasn't attractive for people, in my view. But my thought was, if we can add electric mobility to a bicycle,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's all the advantages of the bicycle and more. So it's a bike plus. So
Yeah.
this was my thinking. And so I then proposed this, as a final paper at the university to my marketing professor, Richard Kühn. And he was just a guru in marketing, also Europe-wide. And he told me, Mr. Haeuselmann, this is not a good idea. This is not a product. This is not a market. Come back with another topic. We need to have another meeting. And I told Mr. Kühn, no, I want to do this. I want to do this. And this marketing situation analysis for electric bikes in Switzerland, which didn't exist yet,
Hmm.
led then to the founding of the Flyer electric bike. So,
Hmm.
this then we had to change the Swiss law, because the electric bikes, the fast ones, were not allowed on the streets. So we were considered being a motorcycle. So as a 25-year-old, we had to change the Swiss law. It was amazing. So, but this vision, and people then for years told us, why do you make a handicapped bike? I said, like, it's not a bike, it's not a handicapped bike. This is a bike. This is a future, a vision for mobility for near distances like 15 to 30 kilometers.
Hmm.
That usually with the bike are a little bit tough, but with an electric bike you can do immediately. So this was really one of the first like long-term oriented projects, because we had to really tear down so many barriers. Usually you
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
give up, but we somehow, I think what describes me, somehow I'm a little bit stubborn. I believe there should be a solution, and economically this doesn't really make sense, but I believe in it. I do it.
Yeah.
So that was maybe a big one. And then 15 years ago, I started a circular economy in Switzerland, where we shift Switzerland a lot of work to build up the circular markets, because I fully believe that a regenerative future will be more regional, regional material flows, regional value chains, globally connected communication-wise, but like regionally anchored. I firmly
Yeah.
believe in this. This is not that visionary maybe, but this is something that we work on since more than 20 years. And maybe a project that you might not even know yet is actually one that I had the idea in 2015. and it's called 2291. In 266 years, Switzerland will turn 1,000 years old. And I thought, as a Bern guy, we're told to be a little bit slow, so we have to start early, that this then becomes a good party. But no, the thinking was, in 2015, as economist, I looked back at the financial crisis, 2007 and 8.
Yeah.
And in 2007 and 8, I didn't like the crisis, but I thought, at least, we're now forced to do our homework. So the systems collapse, so they were not strong, there were mistakes in the system. And my hope was, okay, with this financial crisis, we have to do now really better solutions. We have to develop better solutions. But unfortunately, we did two things. We printed money like never before, money printing, for years. And we had negative interest rates. So just who pictures that? So I give you money if you take my money.
Yeah, exactly.
That was told it is an emergency instrument, but this for 10 years was standard. So this was just dramatic, so the money printing and the negative interest rates really disturbed me and made me a little bit angry, but I couldn't do anything. And anger for me is always a good energy source. And so I didn't have a solution though. And then with my wife, the first time we went to Hawaii, and in Hawaii, I learned about the 7th-generation thinking of native people. I'm not sure if you know that, heard of this already.
Yeah.
But I was blown away. I did not know that at all. So I then researched. So if you simplified, if you and I decide today about something, we have to think about, is this good for 7 generations after us?
Wow.
And I thought,
that's amazing.
This is absolutely impossible. We don't even know what's tomorrow. So how can we imagine a future for 7 generations? At the same time, I was like, it hit me. I knew, I really had like goosebumps. And it hit me. I thought, this is the solution. And as a marketer, I thought, okay, we have 200-300 years ahead. And as a marketer, I thought like 2291. That's the message. That's the trigger. 1,000 years of Switzerland. And then I thought, how do I do this? And then I asked very famous people in Switzerland if they would write 2 or 3 pages, how they see, when they hear 2291, what is in their minds. And honestly, Daniela, I thought no one will participate. This is too crazy of an idea.
Yeah.
But I had 70 authors, like top people. I mean, Marco Solari, from Ticino, Andre Hoffmann, Nina Dimitri, Nicole Loeb. I mean, famous people in Switzerland, they all sat down and wrote 2 or 3 pages, and I put that in a book. And this was the start to 2291. And our biggest project today is, we thought, how could we do today as a short-term action something with impact for hundreds of years? And we came up with the idea, we're going to make 2291, carved out of natural stones. So the 2 and the 9 and the 1. So this will be a bench, where people can sit on these numbers. The bench is 9.3 tons heavy. We will make it 4 times in the Swiss-Italian part, the Swiss-German part, Swiss-French part, and Swiss-Romansh part, all with stones from the region. So, and 50% of the first bench are ready. So we have 4.5 tons of stones are ready. We have the number 2, number 1 is ready. So now we have a second number 2 and the number 9 that are in production. So by spring, it will be finished. And we hope to inaugurate the first bench next year in fall, in a location that we now have to search for. But, this is a project that will, if this works, and I'm now very confident it will work, will have impact for hundreds of years, where people can sit on these stones, look at these stones, but we do it today. We do it today. And
Yeah,
tourists
yeah,
will be there, like school classes will be there. So they will have impact immediately once they're inaugurated, and the impact for hundreds of years. So we wanted to show with that people, you can do things today that will have lasting effects, and be
yeah,
bold.
yeah.
Be in this,
And
be courageous.
will people get a sense for what the intention is? That like, will it encourage them to think about this 7 generation ahead
Yeah, but the
project?
funny thing
Like,
is, and I didn't know that. When I then tell now the people we're making these stone benches 2291, they say, why 2291? I said, like, why these stupid numbers? I said, no, this is the 1,000 year Switzerland. We have to think ahead.
mhm, mhm,
So thanks to these numbers, now I have a lot of discussions with people at first are like, I don't get it. What are you doing? And
yeah,
after a while, they say, wow, I think I want to be part of that. It's really interesting. And the second thing that I did not know is we have always a fantastic energy at the events we make or when we discuss with people, because what I realized, like, no one is right.
yeah,
No one knows how it will be.
yeah,
So all these aggressive discussions, or if you say this, then I don't like you. If they say that, I don't like you. Like all this putting people in boxes when they have their opinion, just like as it used to be, we could express our opinions and have a discussion. That's unfortunately not that possible anymore, or like it got a little bit lost, comes back now. So this we never have. Never. It's
interesting.
always
Yeah,
extremely open, extremely enthusiastic, extremely like creative, and amazing energy we can create like that. So I did not know. I thought literally this idea is too crazy. This is now if it's not working or people don't like it, I should not be surprised.
yeah, yeah. This is very fascinating because it really, for me, it resonates as a sort of attractor project because it's kind of putting something out there that is unknown. I like how you described that it's actually unknown, no? Because
It's
nobody
unknown.
knows. And it creates energy towards something that is not known, which is
Exactly.
exactly what I perceive is this kind of third attractor energy. We need to kind of allow ourselves to not know, but put energy into something that could happen, but has not happened yet. No?
I like how you described it because that's exactly the core. Because I thought, okay,
Yeah,
we need like a new big vision again. We
yeah,
lost big visions. You know, we're caught in this little stuff. Like we have like 2 seconds. We watch a video, and then after 2 seconds, we watch the other video. So it's like a huge mess in your brain, and we lost the orientation, and we lost the compass, we lost the vision. And I
yeah,
thought sometimes about we have discussion about this, like what should the vision be like? Let's say at the time when there was no Gotthard tunnel in Switzerland. So the Gotthard was a real big barrier for Europe, actually, not just for Switzerland. And then people come up and say, like, let's dig a tunnel.
yeah,
17 kilometers, like 10 miles of a tunnel through the Alps. It's like pretty much impossible. Or also the Jungfrau Joch railway. So you have one of the highest mountains in the Swiss Alps, and some guys, at the bar in Grindelwald say, hey, let's build a railway up there. It's like it's like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's like just absolutely impossible. And these were physical visions, physical visions. And I
yeah,
think
exactly.
today we don't need physical visions like this anymore. We need like mental visions. We need like
Yeah,
visions that we can kind of emerge ourselves into. It doesn't have to be, and the chiseling the stone is kind of a mix of both. It's
yeah,
something
yeah. And I,
haptic.
I also feel, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I also feel it's not only not physical visions, it's also visions that are bigger than just Switzerland. I would
Exactly.
I wonder if you have any discussions that actually go like we have to think for the world, like the vision has to kind of embrace the whole world, because that seems to be the step that we get out of this small containers of countries or nations or religions and expand ourselves so that we think, and our visions, especially 7 generations out,
7, yeah.
are have to be big enough to include the world, no?
Very
Because
true, very
we
true.
are not islands.
Very true. And I have some people that actually don't like the project because they say it's too much of a Swiss focus.
Yeah.
You know, because it's 1791, 1,000 years Switzerland, that's like a Swiss thing. And I say like, yes,
Yeah.
but it's like, for me, it's not about Switzerland only. For me, it's about the seven generation thinking. And this goes for the whole
Yes.
planet. This goes for
Yeah.
the whole space, if you like, if other people are out there or other organisms are out there. So it's very, very big. But I'm a person on my own, and I have to start where I can do something that makes that is feasible actually, and not just stays an idea on paper. So that's why I decided, okay, let's start here. But I'm very open, and also what we said from the beginning is what's really important is we never say this should be the future. We only create a space for discussions what future could be. It's now. I think that's also very important, and I hope, and I see that already happening now, Daniela. It's really amazing. These benches, they will be magic. They will be magic, I feel, because they just will sit there. But what people will do with it, this is open to everybody. I think young people will then create apps around it. A person actually said, he's a mountaineer. He said, oh, we could actually then launch a challenge. Who can climb in the Swiss mountains the longest distance on the altitude 2291?
Oh, yeah.
I thought, what a beautiful idea. So I think people will then be really encouraged to have creative ideas to play with this 2291.
Yeah.
And I bet someone will climb, hundreds of meters around this 2291 altitude line. And this is what my hope is, that this is just like a physical element activating like hundreds, thousands of ideas for future projects.
Yeah. Oh, that makes so much sense. Can you recall? I'm sure you can. Some of the articles, all these people that wrote the book. What stood out for you in terms of ideas? What stood with you, or was there anything that stood out where you felt like, oh, that would be wonderful to see 2291 like this, or no, I don't want this in 2291.
I mean, the variety was absolutely mind-blowing. And, I'm
Yeah.
so happy that we have this. There are some people that were over 90 years old, and one person died already now, unfortunately. But we have the story that was published in 2018, and then with 70 people and most, I would say 90% Swiss German part, some Swiss French, 2 from Swiss Ticino and 2 from Graubünden. And then in 2020, I published a book in French, only with 30 authors from the Swiss French region, from the Romandie, because they write differently and they have a different view on life usually. We have 101 stories, 70 from 2018 and 30 from 2020, right in the year where COVID happened. So 70 are before COVID, 20 right when the first year of COVID happened. And so this is now kind of like a baseline. And I can then come to your question, what the stories were. But like, my hope is in 2028, to make a big project, to actually read these stories together with the authors, ask them, when they look back now 10 years, what they wrote. Would they write the same story? Would they do something different that we can discuss with other people, what happened? And so I think, this is a baseline that now every future generation can refer to. We have it. And maybe one more bracket is, I asked myself, how can I include the long-term thinking in a book? And for some weeks, I had no idea. And then, sometimes when I have no idea, then I just go surf. I go in the water, pelicans come by or like dolphins come by, and then all of a sudden I have the idea. And the idea was very simple. I thought, okay, every 50 years, we will publish the book again. And
Mm-hmm.
if that works, we would have 7 editions until 2291.
Yep. Yeah, yeah,
Every
yeah.
50 years. So the future prediction will be always 50 years shorter.
Yeah.
And if that works, I'm not sure if this works because so the second book would be published in 2068.
Yeah.
And I would be 100 years
How
old.
how you would be 100 years old.
I would be
Okay.
100
Yeah.
years old. So I'm probably not here anymore. If I would be here, I would need a lot of help. So
Yeah.
that's why I had the idea. I said, yeah, I need young people, 10 young people that
Mm-hmm.
confirm to me that they will write the book in 2068.
Wow, that's so cool.
And in 3 weeks, I found 10 people. They said, I want to do this. And they're included in the first book, a little bit of social pressure. People will see those people. They said, we want to then publish a book.
Oh, really? Cool.
And the youngest will be 65 years old when he has to publish a book.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I told them, we need 10 people and a healthy lifestyle because one of you has to make it until 68.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I have nothing to offer except one thing. I can promise you that you're the only 10 people in all these millions of people worldwide that know exactly what you will do in 2068.
Yeah,
You will publish a
exactly.
book. That's the only thing I have for you. That's the
Yeah.
only thing. So this is the USP. This is your
Yeah.
value. And
Yeah.
so I'm very curious. It's a really, really an interesting group that is together. And if they write the book or not, we don't know. But like it happened already that a lot of this thinking started to bother them.
Yeah.
The youngest is
Yeah. Yeah.
15, and 50 years for a 15-year-old is a huge, huge time zone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And are they coming together? Are they talking with each other, or are they?
It's interesting. So they're young, and so they said yes, but now they studied, they finished their studies, they have their first projects, and so now it's not very active. So I have the group together. Also, we're now 20,
Mhm.
30 people, young people that want to be involved then already. But right now it's not that active because they all have their own life paths going on now. They're now around
Yeah.
20, 25. So I expect then in some years when they found somewhere where they want to go, it will be more active. So right
Yeah.
now it's I have sporadically contact with them, but not as the whole group. So this is called
Yeah.
Generation 7. That the team is called Generation 7.
Yeah.
And now to your
That's
question
that's
about
wonderful. Yeah.
isn't it nice? I
Yeah.
kind of like it actually too.
Yeah.
And to your question about the stories, I was blown away. So I decided to not give any guidelines. Just 2291, and it cannot be polemic. Cannot be marketing of some sort for something. It's just your personal thoughts, and the variety was absolutely stunning. One person, Economist, he wrote that he believes there will be no nations anymore.
Hmm.
People will not be defining themselves as a nation, but more like as a group. So some will be like I'm a Facebook, for example. I belong to the Facebook group, or some say around food. I'm more like a non-meat group. I
Yeah.
will
Yeah. Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
and in some regions, all the non-meat people will live. And if you're a non-meat person, then you actually will move there. So actually, it will be more around ideas and values, and not about like countries as we know them today.
Yeah.
That I found a very nice idea. And another idea that I really liked is like, one person said, when you make stupid stuff, or criminal stuff, the punishment is that you get frozen for 10 years.
Oh.
So, and your disadvantage is after 10 years, you get unfrozen. and you come back to the real society and you have no clue because 10 years are missing and you have a disadvantage. That's your punishment.
Oh, wow.
And and after 3 times of being frozen, when you do it 3 times, you don't learn anything to become a better person, then you will stay frozen. You're done. So that was one story.
That's so interesting.
And one actually was he's a famous Swiss traditional music song maker, yodel songs.
Hmm.
And he took one of his songs and changed the words to the story. So this story can be yodeled.
Oh,
So it's a rhyme that can be yodeled. And another lady that is really interesting, she is a neuroscience expert and an architect. And this combination, I thought that is really interesting. And she wrote a story as a bot. So the story was kind of like a program code.
yeah,
And the I person is a bot.
yeah,
And that was, I had to read it 3-4 times to get it. It was so nicely done. So
yeah.
complicated also. So it was in all directions.
That's fascinating. Are you planning to do something like this, or even translate it into English, or do something similar in America? Because I really love, more than the Swiss 1,000-year-old. I'm more fascinated by the seventh generation idea,
Exactly.
like to
That's
actually
the call.
try to look ahead. Exactly, that's the
Yeah,
call, and that could be done anywhere,
anywhere.
no?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And for me too, the 2091 is just a marketing instrument to make it work
Yes.
somehow.
Yes.
But the core for you, absolutely 100% same as me, is the long-term thinking,
Yeah.
anywhere, and so just also from my personal resource, time and money, I cannot do the big stuff yet. But
Yeah.
my hope is that when we have, that's why I also was looking for a project that is just like visible and big. That's why we
Yeah.
came up with the 2091 stone benches, you know,
Yeah.
and we feel, because when we have the first inauguration, I would assume that media will pick it up, TV will be
Yeah.
there. So, and then it will become, right now it's only few people know, it's a group of several hundred people that I can bring together. It's not big yet.
Yeah.
But I think with the stone benches, then the topic seventh generation thinking, long-term thinking, will become more known. And then my hope is that maybe in other countries also people, they do this already.
Hmm.
Other people do it already. So maybe it's actually then helping to connect people that think alike, and then
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
could create maybe something really worldwide, and create also events, etc. Or with today, as we do today, with combining India and California in the call, so that's my hope, that's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
hope.
No, that makes sense. And I was just thinking, in Switzerland, you also have a lot of tourists. So if these benches become a tourist attraction, and they can initiate a different thinking in people that they take home, and who knows what they would want to do with it then when they are
you
home in their country.
you hit the spot. That's exactly my hope.
Yeah.
I could see, so for example, in Ticino, we're together with also the tourism organizations to discuss, where in Ticino could be the place of the bench. Is it on a Monte Verita? Is it at the Lago Maggiore? Is it like somehow linked to the Locarno Film Festival? So where
Hmm.
is this bench going to be? And this is an open process. We don't say this is where it has to be. And
Yeah.
my hope is that in Ticino it would have, or in other places too, it has a touristic component,
Yeah.
exactly for what you described. For Swiss tourists, but also foreign tourists, because then they get exposed to this thinking.
Yeah.
And then, we don't know what's going to happen, but like, if the world really gets rough and rougher, by the year, people will look for big answers, big visions more and more. That's my
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
full belief. And we
Yeah.
have maybe then one element that maybe it's then something different that they do, but my hope is that this can trigger something in other people.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a totally different, no, not totally different question, but I'm curious how you see that future 7 generations out. What is your vision? What is it that you would want to change by then?
I'm a firm believer in like small groups, teams.
Yeah,
I'm a team sport player.
yeah,
Always been, except now the surf is like a bit like, but you're still also in a group out there. But I'm a firm believer in local teams, in regional material flows. Because the big stuff, you will not become a billionaire like that. But there's no need to become a billionaire.
mm,
I sometimes startup companies, when they talk to me, they say, I'm not sure if I should launch this idea. And when I ask them why, one said, yeah, uh, I don't think it has unicorn potential.
yeah, yeah,
And it made me very sad. I was like, so who told you that? I said, well, the mentors, at the university, the startup coaches, they say you have to have unicorn potential, you have to be a billion-dollar company. I
yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
okay, let me tell you something. This is bullshit. It really
Hmm.
that really triggers me because I tell them $1 billion company is so much money. There's ice cold people there. You
Yeah.
know, whoever can kill you will kill you. So is this what you want? You
Hmm.
know, or would you be happy to have a small company with 3, 4 friends? When you get to your first kids, you just say, I'm on leave for a year. Sorry, kid is important. You don't have to have rules. You just, in
Yeah.
your group, you have your own rules. And you have maybe a salary of 80,000 francs, that you can pay, have a nice life, not 2 million,
Yeah.
but you're happy. You're happy, and is this a vision that you like? And it's like, well, that sounds pretty good. So I'm like, okay, start.
Yeah.
I think that's my hope, to create an entrepreneurial spirit again, and because I would agree with the first scenario. I feel personally, I'm a very optimistic person. I'm a realistic optimist, I would say. But I feel there is so many factors now disrupted behind the scene.
Yeah.
In the financial system, it's brutal. You know, and this is not yet out of the system. So what we did since the last financial crisis is just being built up and up and up and up. When you think about, like, we have a very, very difficult world environment and the all-time highs of the stock market, it will 100% crash. 100%.
Yeah.
There's not a probability that it will not crash. So
Hmm.
we know that, from history. And when I have young people, they tell me, no, the stock exchange is perfect. You put in money, it goes up. I said, yes, in your 10 years, that you're now active, I fully agree. But read 1929, when people jumped out of the skyscrapers in New York. Go back, do some research, then come
Yeah.
back to me. So I think, we will get into really rough times, and that's why I think we need an entrepreneurial spirit, because in rough times, entrepreneurs see opportunities. So that's what I look for. I don't like people when there's tough times when they say, someone please help me. I don't know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do, and just give me money, and then I will go to massage and to the fitness and to travel a little bit, and help maybe a little bit social work. That's okay, but like, that's not a life plan, and someone has to
Hmm.
pay for it, and this money is not there. So
Hmm.
that's why I feel what we can do is to really encourage people to develop entrepreneurial spirits. you know
Yeah.
and that's a big task of our team that we try to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. And in all my conversation about the third attractor, this idea that it needs more regional coherence and regional working together, and more has to be done on a regional community level, not only in terms of entrepreneurship, but also in terms of helping each other. Like the
Exactly.
social construct would also work better on a regional level. Therefore, many of many people that think like this start little communities, or try to
Exactly.
have a different lifestyle. Where I personally get stuck thinking about this is how it can scale, because we have 8 billion people,
Yeah.
and that there is a link to a top-down thinking that I cannot yet see. I can see that you can create beautiful
Yeah.
small community, but I don't think it's enough. So I always also wonder what needs to happen top down, and is there any hope that this will happen in a good way, in a sort of attractor way?
Yeah, I fully agree. I also think, like the regional model has to be scalable at the same time.
Yeah,
And without falling into the trap that Karl Marx already described, that small companies, merge with to medium companies, they merge to bigger companies, and the big
yeah,
companies merge to dinosaur companies. They're super big, and then they collapse, and then the whole process starts again. That's pretty much what he
yeah,
described for the capitalism, which I have to say he was right. And
yeah. He
so
was.
what I think though is, when what makes me very optimistic, I have to say, is I find people that think alike worldwide.
Yeah,
Maybe I somehow have a feeling for that, or I have a talent, but like we find these people,
yeah,
so they're everywhere, everywhere. We have them in Taiwan, and in Canada, in Finland, like in Kenya. So they're there,
hmm,
and they do fantastic jobs regionally. And
hmm,
what I think is the global component, the scalability component, is like communication, and so there I have a strategy developed in the last years. Is like, in the last 30 years, we developed sustainable solutions with a lot of brain focus, like engineering, like math, like development, like really, like finance models. So we had to do that because the solutions were
yeah,
not yet there.
yeah,
So, but 30 years we had focused brain. And now we have to change. Now we have to tell the stories about these existing solutions today with a
yeah.
focused
Exactly.
heart, with a focused heart.
Yeah,
And this I call circle. Business is brain and lifestyle is heart. So,
beautiful.
so we say, now the next 30 years, the task is tell the stories to touch hearts. The
Hmm,
solutions are here. We find
hmm.
them everywhere. They're coming. Now the systems are in place. The startup systems, everything, funding systems is in place. That 30 years were not in place, to make it happen. So this is good. But now the next level to come into this global kind of new sustainable growth, which maybe is actually not growth by numbers, but growth in quality.
Yes, exactly.
Which for an economist is not hard, is hard to understand. That shrinking actually can be growing in quality. I
Yeah,
sometimes say, for me, one of the most promising strategies for the future as an economist is shrinking strategies, with the old criteria of success, which leads to growing strategies with the new criteria of success.
yeah.
But that's a little bit a big vision, because everything still is measured in money today.
I just wanted to ask you, did you look into new ways of measure company successes? Because there are systems here,
There are.
and that would completely change the way we measure success. As you say,
Exactly.
like growth would be different. Everything, GDP could be measured differently. Did you look into these kind of models, and do you see them becoming more successful, or being ready
Yeah,
to be put out, to be
I
marketed?
I did look into these models, but then I'm also, this is maybe my realistic part of the optimist. I say, like, this is not going to work because people are trained that power and money is good.
Yeah,
This is very, very deep in our like how we look at things, and
yeah,
to break this is impossible, in my opinion.
yeah,
And where we are today, we're a little bit back to the thief and robber times, like when you look at how politics are done today. So, I think my assumption was right. But I see other very, very interesting, and this is back to a very famous saying that, like you cannot change an existing system. You have to build a new system that makes the old system obsolete.
Yes, exactly.
This was Buckminster Fuller, a philosopher from
Yeah.
the US. And I love that. I always have this on my desk
Yeah.
since 20 years. And I fully believe in that. So I looked for other models. And in Switzerland, for example, it's called Purpose Switzerland. And it's a global organization, Purpose. And what they do is they call it steward ownership.
Yeah.
Steward ownership. And I fully believe in this because at the core, what they say is today companies, when there's a transition from one generation to the other, let's say a succession in a company, then usually the ones that have the money, they have the power, and they buy or they do mergers, they make a lot of profit, they put people on the streets, what we see every day, but they say we have a different model. Steward ownership means people working in the company own the company.
Yeah.
So it's taking away the ownership of few stakeholders that have a maximizing profit mentality and goal. They have funds that invest in them. They need to provide profits, growing every year.
Yeah.
So this model you cannot change. It's very successful also. Creates all these multi-billionaires. But the other model is you give ownership in the company that you work. So you actually have an interest for you, but also for your kids or for then your family, that this continues. So you will not become a millionaire unless the company is very successful. That can be, but you have a stable stake in a company that is close to your heart and maybe even physically located close to where you live. And so this steward ownership program is one, or a concept is one that I really like. So, and we try to push.
Yeah.
And it's in Switzerland, especially because, as you know, 99% of the companies in Switzerland are small and medium enterprises, SME. So this is 600,000 companies and 3 million people working in there. And in the next 5 years, we'll have 100,000 SME coming into a succession situation.
Oh, yeah.
So 1/6 of all SME in Switzerland will have to hand over to a next generation. This is huge. We know that 30% fail of these succession models. That would mean like 30,000 companies would fail. This is a huge, huge challenge. And we think that this combination of the steward ownership model, to look at the succession model in a different way, and this 100,000 companies that have to find a new solution, if only 10, 15 companies start with that, then I think this could become, not for all of it, all the people, but for some percent of the people say, this is my new life. I want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once you have 1 or 2%, that's enough. Then it can start grow. So this is what we work on together with the circular economy, because it's regional, it's circular, and it's a new business model, a new capitalistic model in a way that I really like, I have to say.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. For me personally, I still think this model that would put common good front and center instead of finances, if I had to think 7 generations into the future, I think I would hope that companies would be able to change themselves from financially driven to common good driven, because I think we need that. And I think we need to start with the companies, because the consumers, I don't trust the consumers so much that they take their decision according to their own research, which is a good company and which are sustainable products. But if we make companies change their way of looking at what they are
Yeah,
doing and actually take common good into account, and common good meaning how social they are, how
yeah.
sustainable they produce, and all these criteria, I feel like that has so much potential and would point into a good direction. But I'm not disagreeing with you that
No, no,
to change the financial focus is so difficult, no? Because we are
it's
all
really
trained
difficult.
to
Yeah.
think like this. Yeah,
I know I'm fully on board with you. I think the common good approach that would have really more potential.
yeah,
But to get there is very difficult. So I try for
yes,
solutions, what could be tested in very small ways. I know
yeah,
we
yeah,
actually had a really interesting discussion some time ago about, there's a lot of young people that are now kind of sick, and also a
yeah,
lot of older people are sick, mentally sick,
yeah,
because all of the things that are going on and all of the social media that makes them crazy, and so we have a lot of sick people. And our discussion was, and it's just to put out there, I don't have a solution yet, but like we thought maybe we need these sick people because they will look at things, what is success, differently.
ah, I see,
you
yeah,
know for them, health is something way more important than money,
yeah,
because they're in a really not good spot. Maybe they think even about killing themselves, or they have to eat medication, and they're unhappy and they're unsecure, and they're like just in a dark hole, and for them money is not the cure.
yeah, yeah,
So the discussion was like, maybe, as harsh or bad it sounds, and how horrible it is for to be in that position. We all has been in holes. Everybody at a certain age, we all experience it. And with age, I think the hammers are maybe not that many anymore, but the hammers that we get are bigger.
yeah, yeah,
We experience death, we experience loss that is like is coming. We all will be successful in a way in dying. Like no one was actually not successful
yeah,
so far, to my knowledge.
exactly.
So when you look at it this way, but it's not something we like to talk about. But these are very difficult situations, and we think like if you experience as a young person, you maybe actually look at things very different.
Hmm.
And maybe this is a chance then for new models to emerge.
Yeah, yeah,
That was our discussion, and we didn't come up with like, what could be, but that I thought that made me really think about, okay, in life, everything happens for a reason. And what is the reason for all these millions of sick people?
yeah, yeah. Or I wouldn't even go so far that this is the reason, but I'm with you to say, as we are in this situation where so many people are not feeling good anymore, this
Exactly,
will at one point have an effect on how they think and how they act,
exactly.
and what they will try to change in a totally different way than we could think about it. That's
That's my
a
hope.
very interesting point. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so that's why, so we look for these things, in nature always. It's never linear. It's always like the disruptions come always like from the complete unknown space. In business,
yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
oftentimes too. Nokia did not see coming the iPhone and Apple.
Hmm.
Kodak did not see. All these things, they happen in business too. So oftentimes, the most interesting disruptors come completely from the unknown.
Yeah, yeah,
They were not on a radar of anybody. And so my hope is that uh, we will experience these kind of things
yeah,
that today we can simply not imagine, you
yeah,
know, and that eventually this, and this is maybe also the very positive message of 2291, I firmly believe that Switzerland will exist in some form or shape in 2291.
hmm,
That's the positive message of this
hmm,
project. I
hmm,
firmly believe that. If it's true or not, I don't know. But like that's today my firm belief.
yeah,
You know, France will exist. I mean, if it's still called France, we don't know. But like there will be French culture, French values. There will be Swiss culture, Swiss values. They will change. They will emerge. Like it's a
Hmm.
constant development. With all
Hmm.
the new people coming in, the Swiss people going out. I mean, it's now for the case of Switzerland. With the worldwide mixing and matching, things change for sure. But like at the core,
Yeah.
there always will be these deep roots that go back thousands of years.
Yeah, it's interesting. I also hear in how you talk that you are a strong believer in regional cultures also, or national cultures, like nationalism, but in a good way. That's what I kind of hear from you.
Yes,
It's like it's important to honor the culture that we have and see them grow in new direction. And your goal is not, or your vision is not that everything is the same, which is anyway not realistic. But
exactly.
yeah,
And you're very true. That's my firm belief. And I
yeah,
have an interesting example for you. Now, I realized that very early on when we started the Flyer electric bike. So you look at Switzerland as one market, for bicycles.
hmm,
But a hip bicycle in Bern this is just in a Swiss-German part, looks
yeah,
very different from a hip bicycle in Zurich, looks very
yeah,
different from a hip bicycle in Basel.
yeah,
The saddle is different, the lights are different, the fenders are different, the
yeah.
the the handlebars are different. And if you
Interesting.
don't know that, then you will not be successful. And
Yeah.
this for me then it's so beautiful to discover, you know,
Hmm.
that that every region, for some reason, these details are there.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a reason for that. And it can be a lifestyle reason, it can be like the weather reason or whatever. But there's something very, very local embedded in a lot of things we do, and
Yeah.
this for me is always going to be like that.
Yeah. 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 That makes sense. I want to ask you one last question. Probably we already come to
Yeah.
the to the hour soon. I'm curious how your relationship to AI is. I always try to ask an AI question because I'm very curious how everybody thinks about AI.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a tough one, and
Yeah.
i'm I'm a very much an innovator, but I'm a late adopter of innovations, I have to say. You know,
Oh, yeah.
my my wife just upgraded me to an iPhone 6. So that gives you a because if
Yeah.
something works for me, why would I change? So
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't need all these apps. I need it for calling, for messaging, etc. So I don't need the hippest phone. So I see a difference, for example, in the camera, for example, but that for me is okay. So
Yeah.
that is important to know when we ask me about technology. But like
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
AI, I think actually when ChatGPT came out, I wrote an article about it, and you know, GPT means guided partitioning table. Guided partitioning table. So actually, it cuts stuff apart to make it very, very small, to then make it manageable and controllable.
Yeah.
That's GPT,
Yeah.
guided partitioning table. So in Cäsar said, teile und herrsche,
Mm.
divide and conquer.
Yeah.
So at the core, this is what AI is. So
Hmm.
it looks at huge masses of data, it breaks them down, and then somehow puts them back together in ways that someone said how it should be put together. That's programmed.
Yeah.
Humans decided how to program that. So
Yeah.
that was the first thing. Okay, what means GPT? And then I looked, okay, so who is doing it? And I then created a term, usually we say follow the money. But here I said, we cannot follow the money here. That doesn't really work. But I said, we have to follow the values.
Yeah.
So then I said, okay, who is at the top of the AI development? It's Silicon Valley.
Hmm.
After 20 years, we know how Silicon Valley works. It's like super economic monopolies.
Yeah.
So it's 100% extracting models. You know, the winner takes it all. So
Yeah.
it's designing super successful, hardcore business monopolies.
Hmm.
So that's at the core of the people in Silicon Valley developing AI.
Yeah.
So that's embedded in their AI system. These values are in there.
Yeah.
And then who is the other big AI partner? China.
Yeah.
So what is the core of China value? It's like absolute control, absolute dictatorship, hardcore dictatorship. So we have
Hmm.
hardcore monopolists and hardcore dictatorship at the core of the AI development in these two superpowers.
Yeah.
So then I said, like, these are not values I like.
Yeah.
And that was 1.5 years ago. And I said, like, so my prediction is that AI in the long run with these values will not be good for the majority of people. Will
Yeah.
not be good because it's not good values for the majority of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
If someone comes up, let's say a European model or a Swiss AI model with the DNA of democracies, you know, of federalistic regional societies, then there's other values embedded.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Until
Yeah.
this happens, I think AI will be very destructive.
Yeah.
That's my personal belief. A thesis, up for discussion.
No, that's a very good analysis. I like how you put it, and it's definitely as you describe it, and I agree. Not a third attractor technology that would we that where we would feel it carries the third attractor values.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, Chris, I had in my conversations that I had before, there are people that think AI could help to create new values, or
Yes.
it's almost like there are some people that see AI almost there is a potential in this being a guru, like helping us to create better values, helping us to think differently, helping us to become better human beings. And yeah, that's just also a belief out there that is
Yeah.
real, and that people are working
I,
on.
I see that potential and I agree with it. And I can give you two examples. And it's interesting, you know, like also I live here in San Diego. San
Yeah,
Diego is close to the Mexican border, very close. Tijuana is just like half an hour from here. And you know, the entrepreneurs in when I came here, I did not know, but the entrepreneurs in San Diego are brain and hand entrepreneurs.
yeah,
You know, because it's just Mexico across the border with 1/6 of the labor cost, or it used to be. So there's a lot of actually physical manufacturing going on
hmm,
in this region. You know, so the entrepreneurs here, they're physical entrepreneurs. You know,
yeah,
they have logistics, they have material flows, they have processes, they have machinery, all that stuff. You know, hard materials. So it's a very entrepreneurs, as we know in Switzerland. In San Francisco, most of the large known entrepreneurs, they're like purely brain entrepreneurs.
yeah,
If there's a mistake, they can code, you know, a code around it. You know, code, update, and then it's done.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
have a mistake in your production line, you know, a rubber is a wrong material, you know, you have to figure out. I mean, the whole batch is done. So it's a whole
yeah,
complete different entrepreneurial mindset. And I think the AI mindset, if it's only AI, I think will purely not work for a simple reason. Human beings are humans.
hmm,
And I firmly believe they will always be humans. You know, you can plant chips in your head or chips in your heart or chips in your lungs, but like that will not survive.
hmm,
That will not survive because someone will hack you and then you will do stuff that you will get to prison or will get killed, or you know
hmm,
humans are humans. That's my firm belief.
hmm,
Maybe I'm too
hmm,
old fashioned, but that's my firm belief. So, and humans love haptic fascinations.
Yeah.
They love, we need to touch each other. We like elephants, elephants have a lot of interaction, with
Yeah.
so very emotional beings we are. And so that cannot be, if I'm if I have a mental problem and I talk to the AI guy, and the AI my AI friend tells me, oh, Chris, it's all good, and like, yeah, I like what you say, and like all this, like I don't feel that AI also in the future with all this can change that. That it will always be mechanic, or like artificial, as it says. It will not really deeply touch humans. I'm not sure
I
if I'm right,
agree
but
with
that's
you
my belief.
totally. No, no, I agree with you. And I also see that already today, some people are falling prey to thinking it's more than just a machine. No, I've
Yes,
talked to people that I recently met a guy here who said when he cannot sleep at night and his thinking turns, he's turning to ChatGPT and gets psychological help from
that's
ChatGPT.
sad.
And
You know,
it's very sad, yeah, and and not
because
helpful long term, obviously.
yeah, and he is then a victim of the
Yeah,
values programmed into the
yeah,
AI. So
yeah,
he will go deeper in the hole, 100%.
yeah,
That's my firm
yeah, yeah.
belief. 100%. He
I
will go
agree.
down the pipe. So, and that's super sad and dangerous. That is very
Yeah,
dangerous, because then stuff can be planted in their heads that they don't want to do, but they will do it. So that's
yeah,
why I
yeah.
think, if we could, this could be very, very difficult. So when then I go back to, okay, if AI is combined with a haptic fascination, then interesting things will happen. And we see that already today. So we are actually actively looking for companies, and we just found one in Switzerland. It's a company. They came up with a solution. When you have in the hydropower, Switzerland has a lot of hydropower, and you have large turbines, huge
Mm-hmm.
turbines, steel. And but with all the power and the forces, there is all these little cracks in the steel in these turbines, so they have to be repaired. And the welding of these turbines is really, really difficult. You use
Mm-hmm.
a lot of know-how to do it, and all these experienced welders, they're getting retired and not replaced. Young
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to do that job.
Mm-hmm.
So now they have a problem. Fewer people know how to repair these turbines. Now comes along an engineering team. They say, let's make AI supported, like eyes. So you can think of it like it's a container. You put in turbine, it gets optically analyzed by AI, saying, hey, here's a crack. And then
Yeah,
the robot comes and welds.
yeah,
So it's an automated repair technology solution.
yeah,
Physical haptic stuff combined with AI.
yeah.
And I think that this company will become very successful. They already
Mm-hmm.
today, they will install the first project next summer. They have the contract already in Switzerland, and they estimate that they have 40 to 50% of cost reduction.
Mm-hmm.
If that turns to be true, this will be a huge success. And this then, I have to say, is a fantastic application of AI. I would say this is
Yes,
then really the
yes,
AI we
but
need.
Chris, yes, yes and no, I would say, because what you are describing a corner case where you don't have enough people that can do this kind
Yes,
of repair. But it's a very small step to use the same technology to just replace workers and
exactly.
have the same cost saving. So, like the losing of workspaces and work for human beings because AI will take over is a big thing. And that is a concern of mine, because when people cannot work anymore, because we are most people want to work, and we are not
Yes,
very good in filling our time without work, at least not yet. And that will create a lot of social unrest and a lot
That will
of
create
trouble.
the revolution that will kick out AI and will kill the owners of AI. That's my prediction. Seriously.
Oh, really?
If that happens, and I think this is then the disruption that we will see. That's why I think the coming
Yeah,
years will be very brutal. We have to prepare for something very rough. And
yeah,
so,
that I
because,
agree.
people are only happy when they have something good to do that they like.
Yeah, yeah,
If you have too much free time, you're not happy.
yeah,
I don't know anybody that is happy 20 years doing nothing.
yeah,
Seriously. I
yeah,
know
yeah,
very famous, very people made a lot of money by selling their companies. After 2, 3 years, they're bored and they start a new company or do something. I mean, you
yeah.
cannot have all free time for 20 or more years. It's impossible.
Mm,
So, and then when you then see, very, very few people get really, really rich and they kicked me out of my life, not of my work, they kicked me out of my life.
exactly.
Then you get so angry that you will go to the streets and you will start shooting around.
Mm,
Then there will be violence that we cannot imagine, I think. And there's
mm,
another element, that makes me also a little bit optimistic. Everything programmed, in 100 years, probably will not work anymore.
mm.
Even now, when I have an older computer, some stuff doesn't work on my computer anymore. So I have to change
Yeah,
my
yeah,
computer. And we said, like, in let's say in 1,000 years, this was another discussion we had with 2291. In 1,000 years, people will look back at our time, these 20 years of digitalization, so like, this was such sad times. There is no pictures, no pictures, no books, zero. They had nothing.
mm,
These poor guys.
mm, mm.
There's nothing is written, nothing is sculptured, no pictures, zero. They
Yeah,
have no
yeah.
films, because all what is now digital will not be,
Will be disappeared. Yeah,
you cannot, it will not work anymore.
yeah,
So all
yeah,
these billions of pictures on Facebook, it's all gone.
yeah,
There's going to be zero. There's no
yeah,
photo album, that you can look at from your grandparents. Zero. So every chat thing is all zero. So we said, like, these people in 1,000 years, they will probably look at and say, like, wow, this was really sad times. They had nothing. What did they do?
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I think, and another element is also everything digital. I mean, we live in times of amazing war preparations. Everybody is putting billions towards, like, ammunition, tanks, everything, airplanes. And we know from history, everything that's invested in military one day will be used. One day it will be used. So, and I sometimes tell people, when we think of a cloud, our data is in the cloud. Yeah, the cloud. That's like a warehouse.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not in the sky. That's a warehouse. And I am sometimes surprised. This is not like a safe warehouse. This is just like built like every other warehouse. It's like a little bit metal and a little bit like covering, then the machinery and all that. And some they're like secured in the Alps or whatever. But most of the data centers, the large ones, are very openly. So if a bomb falls on a center like that or several centers, all the data is gone.
Yeah.
Everything is gone. No one can pay anymore. No one can talk anymore. So this is all gone. So that means, like, by that time, the physical world will come back very, very quickly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we will have the human to human connection again.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but you see, this 2291 leads to discussions, because when we then say, okay, these people in 1,000 years, they will think like that. We don't say this is how it's going to be. It's just like opening up, like, what do you think they will think?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then, because I
exactly.
never thought like that. And someone mentioned that. It's like, I think you're right.
Yeah, yeah,
All this data will
exactly.
not be readable, will not be available anymore. So there's nothing there, nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
It's all gone.
yeah. Great, Chris. I think that's a beautiful end of our conversation.
That's why I'm a
Then we can.
believer in the physical world, and that's why I think things will align that
Yeah.
humans in the end are humans, and they will create a nice world for humans. You know,
Yeah.
that's my belief. And the good humans, they
Beautiful.
find each other, you know, and we
Yeah.
just have to
No.
help each other to make that happen.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.